Stephen Morris from New Order. Welcome to Australian Musician.
Thank you for having me.
New Order are coming back to Australia in March next year. Last time you were here, COVID hit, and the Melbourne gig that I was going to was cancelled. Midge Ure was in town at the same time, and I caught up with him about a year or two later, and he told me he had a hell of a time getting home. Did you have the same issues?
Oh yes. Um, yeah, it was. It wasn't entirely unexpected because we had the two gigs in Melbourne. We did the first one at the Sidney Myer thing, and it was all tomorrow. Everywhere's getting closed. Everywhere's getting closed. So it's like, well, what do we do? So we cancelled the next gig and hoofed it to a plane, and I remember getting as far as, I don't know whether it was Dubai or one of those places where you stop on the way back to stretch your legs, and sitting there having a cup of coffee and looking at the boards, and they were all going cancelled, cancelled, cancelled. And it's like, I'm going to spend the rest of my life in a desert. How am I going to get out of here? I mean, luckily we did, but it was very, very scary and difficult.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank God that's over.
Yeah, well, fast forward to 2025, you're coming back in March. What's the band's philosophy on set lists these days? Obviously, you can't play everybody's favorites. How was the set list framed?
Oh, set lists, the old thorny problem. Well, there's some songs you've kind of got to play. You've kind of old ages melody a bit. We've got other days where we wouldn't play stuff just to be bloody minded. Like that. Like you can't really get away without playing Blue Monday or True Faith or the others. There's Our Love Triangle, that's another one. So you kind of stuck with them. And then I'd like to say it's difficult, but it really shouldn't be. I think you kind of just get set in your ways of doing things, and sometimes it's nice to chuck in a surprise track that you've not played for a bit. I know we get a lot of stick from people. Why don't you play Weirdo? Why don't you play Everything's Gone Green? And it would be great to do them. It really would. But then you've got to get everyone to learn it and do it, which is all right as an exercise, but it's not really worth doing it if you only play it once, which has happened a few times where we've gone to a lot of trouble learning it and played it, and I thought, oh, that didn't go down very well. Well, we won't bother with that one again, which is a bit daft. So there's a few gigs, so it might be an idea to chuck a few novel entities in there. But it's what people want, because you never really know what people are expecting of you, whether they think you're going to play lots of Joy Division songs or not so many Joy Division, or any Joy Division songs for that matter.
Are there songs that you personally enjoy playing more than others?
Yeah, the easy ones, I call them. The ones without too much drumming in. Temptation is always a great song to play because everyone seems to enjoy it, and when people get into it, you get into it. The Joy Division ones, stuff like Transmission, and the early New Order ones that have got very fast hi-hat things in. I'm showing the age a bit there. It's hard work now, and you look at videos of yourself when you were a younger man and wonder what chemical stimulants you must have been on to do that, because it's very difficult now. But I think the way I used to do it was, it's like riding a bike. If you start, just don't stop or slow down until you get to the end, which is always a good idea. Those are people like them. I don't enjoy them so much nowadays.
The band has a great relationship with Australia. I saw you at the big day out. What are your memories of being part of that festival?
Opening my hotel door to see the White Stripes in the room across the way. Was that the one with the Prodigy?
It probably was, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Listening to the Prodigy every night, think, oh, this is a good bass drum sound. I wonder how they've done that. Things like that. It was good because I known Viv, who did that. Well, he did a lot of things in Australia for a long time. He's a good friend of ours. So it was kind of like bit of a holiday, really. But meeting the White, well, not meeting them. It's weird when you see, because the White Stripes, it was really big then, and it was like, and I was with the kids, and it going, hello, yeah,
Jack's
interesting.
Jack's in town this weekend.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, right. I'm gonna miss him again then.
I wanted to go way back, if you don't mind. After the death of Ian Curtis and you decided to record another album under New Order, was there a discussion specifically about the musical direction you were going to take?
Never make plans or discuss anything. That's and we've never even talked about whether we should have a not plan or not. You just did it. It was just something we'd done, and the idea of stopping never really occurred to us. So we just sort of carried on doing it, and then suddenly realised it wasn't quite as easy. Well, you really knew it wasn't going to be as easy because you just lost somebody, but we didn't know how we were going to get around it. That difficult first album with a new name. Yeah, it wasn't easy, but I don't think talking about it. I mean, you couldn't really talk about anything without it arcing back to Ian and it all getting horribly sad and depressing. So we're kind of like, we're northern men, you don't show your feelings, you just get on with it, suck it in. Which is what we did. And for that reason, doing movement wasn't a great experience. But recently, I've been involved in doing these box set things, and I did get to listen to it quite a lot. And I think it's unfairly maligned, certainly by me. I found it very refreshing to listen to it after a long period of time, and I kind of I think we did all right. I know it's kind of like in a definite Joy Division style that we really didn't want to carry on doing because we knew we had to sort of make a definite break somehow. But I think we did better than we thought we did with that record. And it was, carry on, sorry.
When did you realize that there was this New Order sound developing, and did you think to yourself, well, this is what we are now and this is where we're going? Or was it just organic?
50-50. It was kind of because the first thing we did was go to New York. We did as a 3-piece. We did some gigs in New York, and we went to clubs over there and we listened to they were playing like the Clash mixed up with the hip hop and all this and a lot of disco stuff that you wouldn't really get if you could get into a club in England at the time, which was there weren't many places to go. So we places like Danceteria, Hurrah area, we went to those and heard early hip hop and thought, this is great. It's a really interesting sound, but we weren't naturally funky musicians, if you like. I'm kind of like pretty straight and rigid, and sort of a long time before that, I'd seen Stevie Wonder this is like going years ago, on the old grey whistle test, and he got one of the first Lynn drums, and he was like he was playing it with his fingers. And I thought, that's fantastic. That's really brilliant. I didn't realize he was actually a great drummer. I thought it was more the box. I thought, if I got one of those, I'd be a fantastic drummer as well. Somewhat misguidedly, but then years later, after movement, we got a digital drum machine, and that kind of naturally leads you to doing something that, I mean, it wasn't particularly tight, but it had a sort of innate feel, if you like, i.e. slack, which led you to do Blue Monday, really. And then that Power Corruption and Lies, that whole album was kind of sort of new wave disco, if you like. So it was that, really.
Did you embrace technology, or were you fearful that it might take your job?
I was both. I was a fool to myself. I really embraced technology, and the drum machine was okay, because I soon realised that it wasn't very reliable, and it would like lose its memory. Whereas I, in any condition, could manage to nail a 4/4 beat down for quite a long period of time. But the drum machine, it'd just go beep, and that'd be it. It'd be blank. So there was that, which annoyed me. But it was really when we got into sort of like sampling in any depth with the emulator keyboard that I suddenly realised, hang on, why that the drum machine was one thing, but you could steal a whole band's, you could steal a song here and just chop it up. And I thought, that can't be good. I am literally doing myself out of a job here by getting involved in this form of witchcraft. But at the same time, I was the only one nerdy enough to actually read the manuals. So God knows why. Yeah. Anyway, it fell to me, and so it was a bit of both. I could see. At one point, I did realise that by doing this, I was actually protecting my job, not doing myself out of a job, because it's like, well, if I can work this, then even if I don't play the drums anymore, at least I'll have something to do.
Were there many onstage nightmares because of the technology back in the day?
Oh Christ, yes! I think we had a few in Australia the first time we came. Yeah, absolutely. You wouldn't believe it, because the gear was designed not to be taken out of a studio, and it would just break down all the time. It was really unreliable. At one point, because Gillian had the sequencers and the synths and everything, she had to go on when we would just be playing little clubs, and she had to go on before we went on and literally go through the set to make sure it all worked. And there's all these guys at the front going, "Hey, look at that bird up there!" Yeah, so it was quite, yeah. She did well to put up with all that, but it was an absolute nightmare. But the funny thing was I think it was it the first time or the second time? One time when we went to Australia, we took a boffin with us. This guy called Martin Usher. He was like an electronics genius, and I thought, right, this will if anything breaks down, he'll be able to fix it, because he could. He could fix anything. And can you guess what happened? Nothing broke down. So long as he was there, nothing broke down. As soon as he went, it's like everything went to shit. It's like, why is that? Oh yeah, Martin Usher, what a guy.
So did you have drum heroes, drummers that inspired you?
Yeah. I mean, there was Maureen Tucker out of the Velvet Underground, but I really liked Jackie Leibzeit out of Cannes. I liked his drumming because it was kind of like hypnotic, but it evolved. And I watch videos of him now on YouTube, and it just, how is he doing that? It's like it sounds like three people playing, but it's just him. He was absolutely brilliant. And he was a jazz drummer, and he didn't, the way he played, you wouldn't have known that because he just played very, very. I think he said his motto was "keep it simple," which I thought that's a good idea because that's probably all I can do. So I shall adopt that and say I'm playing like him because that's what he'd do. And John Bonham at Led Zeppelin, he was good because he just had a fantastic groove. He couldn't play anything, but you could tell, as soon as it started, that it was him playing. He just had a great innate John Bonham sort of sound and way of playing.
Yeah.
And of course Keith Moon, because I always wanted to drive a Rolls Royce into a swimming pool. I mean, I went to see him a few times, and it was just like you're never going to play like that. So yeah, it's pointless even trying because I think even he doesn't know what he's doing. It's just move, play rolls all the time, just do loads of fills. But great to watch. He was great to watch.
Yeah. So what's the current kit on stage? Is there much electronics attached to your job?
Well, yeah, there has to be. There's kind of like there's a DW kit, which is like the acoustic bit. There's triggers on the kick and snare. That then go into a can't remember which one. It's a V drum thing. Then there's the everyone's got the ubiquitous, let's say, Roland sample pad. That kind of like plays that, and that does some of the triggering. Then there's the thing that I control all the sequences off because I've got all that. Well, two things that do that. So I've got to find the sequences, and then what I've got over. Oh, a little keyboard, a RAC Thingy-me-bob keyboard, which was kind of like the smallest thing that we could find that would still do, because I used to have a massive curse file which annoyed people because it looked like I was some sort of professional keyboard player. It looked far too grandiose for me. So now I just have a tiny little 2-octave job in. That's all right, but you have to keep transposing it.
And you
it's fine.
You have boffins now?
No, we've learned to do without boffins. No, I've become one myself, an amateur boffin. Yeah, it's much. I'd like to say it's much more reliable, but if I say that, it will break down all the time. Touch a lot of wood. It's pretty reliable. Like there's two old systems going, so you can switch from one to the other.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah. The relationship between a drummer and the bass player as a rhythm section is important to a band, especially yours. I know that the relationship with Hooky and the band is not what it used to be, but musically, did you enjoy playing with Hooky, and how does he differ from Thomas' playing style?
Yeah, well, the thing with Hooky, I mean, it was absolutely great because that was kind of how we started writing songs. Was like me and him would start some sort of rhythm between us, and you just get a feel for playing with somebody, and it worked really well because I mean, even in Joy Division, things broke down a lot. Not keyboards, amps, and stuff, and we would frequently find ourselves having to do improvisations, which was kind of what we did all the time. That was how we wrote songs. We'd just like, right, let's write a song. We'd go in to rehearsal rooms sort of like twice a week, go through the set, which didn't take long because there was only about 5 songs, and then write another song. and we just write it by doing a long jam, and that's the only way you could write. So in a way, we learned how to be Joy Division, because we had no idea of what we should be doing. We weren't trying to do cover versions because we couldn't do cover versions. We were absolutely crap at it. We tried a couple that were terrible. So we just invented Joy Division, and it kind of between me and Huck, and he was great. He was great. He was great to play with, because you get a kind of telepathy thing going, which is always, it's fun. It's a lot of fun when you know or you can anticipate what someone's got to do next. Yeah. It's good. I mean, Tom's a good bass player. He's a great bass player, but he's kind of like he's schooled, if you know what I mean. He's more, he knows how to play the bass and everything. And it's like when we started off, he'd have the notes, like everybody does when they start off. He'd have the notes written on the fretboard and things like that. So we've really learned together how to do stuff. But Tom comes ready primed, if you like.
Yeah. Do you have another interview after this?
I don't know. The emails coming in the middle of the night, so there's always an element of surprise. But I think I'm all right for a bit, if that's what you mean.
Yeah. 2015 was the last studio album. Any possibility of a new order material?
That's a good question. I mean, you would think so, wouldn't you? But it was weird. We started doing some stuff just after COVID. I mean, you would have thought you'd have written loads of stuff when you were stuck in your house all day. But for some reason, because there was so much time, you never did anything. You just thought, well, what's the point? We're going to be stuck in here for the rest of our lives. So sort of after COVID, we started doing stuff, but for whatever reason, it just sort of fizzled out. It never really went anywhere, which is stuff that's never happened before. I mean, really, if you're a band, you kind of, and you're not a sort of, you don't want to be. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. Be a heritage act. You've kind of got to keep your hand in a bit. I mean, other people do it, and it'd be so hard. I mean, I'm in the studio every day. I've got a studio here going every day, and I do stuff. I write stuff. I mix stuff and listen to stuff. But new order in a minute, no. There is nothing on the cards at all, which is a bit of a shame, really.
Yeah. I believe you're writing another book. What can you tell me about that?
The other book, the other book's sort of like that's coming along, but Gillian's actually writing. Well, she's not writing a book; she's doing a book. So my literary time is spent sorting that shepherding. Is that right? No, that's really patronising. No, trying to help Gillian get hers done, because nobody wants mine if Gillian's putting one out. So I'm kind of like resigned to the fact that I'll have to wait a bit. Yeah, the difficult third book. It's hard because there's a sense of finality about it, in that I don't really want to write. I didn't really want to write a third book about being in a band. I wanted to do a sitcom, but yeah, there's no market for that. So it's sort of sat down, started writing it, and it's hard to do something and still be humorously philosophical about it. And there's no point writing something that's just a series of gripes and an old man going, and I remember in the good old days when you young people, you don't know your ball. There's no point in doing that because it's not entertaining. But it's coming along. It's coming along, yeah. It's just stalled.
Yeah. So what are you looking forward to most about coming to Australia again?
Um, the sun. It should be quite, should be still quite warm, shouldn't it? Because it's
Yeah.
horrible here in March, absolutely horrible. And Australia's always it's always fun. It's always I mean, when we did the things at the Sydney Opera House, that was great with the Australian Chamber Orchestra. Really enjoyed that. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to coming back. The only thing I'm not looking forward to is getting on the bloody plane for however long it is to get there and come back.
Yeah.
That's no fun.
Well, Stephen, it's been an absolute pleasure meeting you, and we look forward to seeing you very soon.
Yes, look forward to it. Yeah, see you in Melbourne, hopefully.